7 times.
Yeah, you like to say that. We
Oh
haven't.
my
Here's
God,
the
why
thing,
haven't you
though.
told me that yet?
We were going to bring that up in your evaluation, but we haven't scheduled that yet. So yeah, we haven't had a chance.
Oh, another work evaluation that I don't care about. I'm a union. I don't have to care about my eval. We're on though, by the way.
He said that. He said that on the internet, by the way.
The
For
internet
all
now
the
knows.
person to see.
I said that in person in front of my boss today. So
Oh, nice. And how'd that go?
oh, she was perfectly fine with it. She's getting ready to retire. So
She's like, good, because I don't give a crap about your val either, right? That's the best answer.
that's why we haven't done it yet. It was probably supposed to be done in August.
There was a time when I was still teaching way back in the day that the administrator that was supposed to evaluate me forgot about me, even though I reminded him like multiple times, like, hey, we doing this? He got busy and forgot about me. We got to like the deadline. He's like, Dave, could you write your evaluation and just sign it and put it in my mailbox? I'm like, yep, on it. I got you covered, man. So I wrote my own evaluation one year. It's outstanding.
We do.
I was outstanding.
You were, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You got a 4% raise of it.
No, probably 2.5, 3. I would wager.
Okay. Standard.
Yeah.
Standard.
You got it.
Yep. All right.
All right,
So-
let's record, boys. We will go live in. Hey, this is Wicked Spursy. Mike, Steve, and Dave. Boys, I've missed you. It's only been about a week or maybe less, but Mike, how you doing? What's going on?
I'll be goddamn Dave if I'm not just peachy keen.
Well, why is that, Mike? What makes you so peachy and keen?
Peachy and keen. I've had a couple okay days at work, super busy. But it was kit day at the Popovich house.
Nice.
Yeah, kit day.
That is a nice looking 23, 24 away kit, and you got a number on the back, right?
Yeah, I got a number 10 for our one of our conquering heroes, James Madison, not the founding father James Madison, but
two D's. He's a
Two
double
Ds.
D, Madison. Yeah.
2Ds because he's mad. He's
Got
mad.
mad?
He's mad for Tottenham. Anywho,
nice.
Yeah, but it was also kit day for Lucas. So we got the 23-24 far post kits in the mail, and I'll be goddamned if they're not beautiful kits.
Oh yeah, what do they look like?
Adidas makes some nice kits. They're just Adidas Squadra kits. He's got the orange and the navy blue. Like those are their colors. I think the navy blue are classy looking, but the orange are like, boom, they blow you up. They stand right out. But they got some like neat chevron kind of pattern in them now. Like the last few years have just been like plain orange, but they have like pattern in them now. They're really nice. The numbers are nice on the back. They look like pretty solid kits.
And is he still rocking the is he 28? Is that what he ended up with, or is he changed number?
Number 28.
Right.
We haven't figured out the process for changing numbers yet. So
you just demand. Go to the coach and demand. That's what you do.
Yeah, throwing demands. That's a great idea. I'm sure Coach Todd would love that.
Coach Steve might have some input on that, right?
Absolutely.
I think Coach Steve should switch over and start wearing orange. He would be a great addition to the Far Post family.
There you go. That's an idea. Coach Steve, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing fantastic, Dave.
And how did your team finish up their season, boss? That's the important topic today.
Well, I am pleased to report back that at the conclusion of our season, my team maintained their undefeated streak. We drew one game all season and one out. It was a really good time. So we had 2 game days this week. They had an Under the Lights game on Thursday.
Ooh, there you go.
Yep. Big fields, floodlights down. It's one of those things that the kids really enjoy. But because of it's Vermont and it's getting dark and cold now, and there's not a lot of time. So we had to cut the games back a little bit. So instead of playing for an hour, the games were 35 minutes straight, which, was fine. But I mentioned that to contextualize, our biggest win of the season came on Thursday, where we won our first game 14-1. And again,
nearly an American football score almost, right?
Yeah. And again, this game was just about half as long as our typical game. And it's not that I just let them go at it and top scorer, just keep going, pile them on. Once it was clear that after 10 minutes we were up 7-0, I pulled our entire attacking group and just subbed in some of the other kids on the bench, and they just couldn't stop scoring. It was unreal. But my proudest achievement for the entire season was our final game on Saturday. Complete downpour, miserable conditions, the worst game day we've had all season. But I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way through the game, just about, the ref, who is actually one of the coaches for the other team, but since they have two, one of them just decided to ref the whole game, so we don't have to worry about it. He comes over and he says to me, "Your defense is like a brick wall." And I was like, they better be, after all the defensive drills I put him through.
Steve, I'm curious, and I bet Mike is also. What are your big takeaways from like first season? Obviously, really successful, but first season as a coach in the youth setup. Like, what'd you learn? What'd you take away from that whole thing?
A couple of takeaways. So first, I learned real quick that if it's not working, stop immediately. Like, there's no sense trying to, especially when you've got such a short season, there's no sense trying to force the team to do something that is completely opposite of what they want to be doing, right? Like, there are things we need to do, like figuring out how to defend and what's appropriate and, what the midfield should be doing on transitions, things like that. But when it comes to trying to do this like pressing and passing style, like Ange ball, if it's not working, like, just don't force it. You got to play to your strengths to some capacity, right? So I get it a bit more from a coaching perspective. I still disagree when you're an elite coach and you do it full time as a job that you can't make changes like that. But not with the kids. It's like, all right, you're not going to get the passing thing. We're not going to solve this in a few weeks. Let's move on and just do something that you can do. Keep it fun. That was another thing, and I probably the last takeaway I had was not just to be honest with the players, but to be honest with the parents as well. Parents and guardians, I should say. It for as much as the kids complained, "Oh, we have to do defending drills. I don't want to do this. Like, this is boring. I don't want to play defense." The fact that I was able to rally the parents behind me quickly because I was transparent with them and honest about what I was trying to do and why I was doing it, they bought in. And, it was, yeah, buddy, you got to go. You got to play defense sometimes. You can't always be the furthest forward. It's not fair to everybody else. But it all worked out. It was also, I guess, fourth and final takeaway, and then I'll stop it, was the benefit of having everybody play every position at some point. Crucial. Because even if they weren't excelling on offense or excelling on defense, just knowing what the other person is supposed to be doing helped organize them so much more. You saw some of these other people who they had their, full team swaps. You're always defense, you're always offense. No, within games, I was switching people up. Because I wanted to keep it fair during game days. It's not just practice. You get to, play the fun goal scoring type position. But just by switching it within the game itself, it's like they knew what was going on. They knew what the game was supposed to be doing. And having played on one side of the field versus the other, they knew what the other side was or was not doing that they should have been, and can step in and do that themselves. And then when they're on the field, I get to have my little coaches huddle with the subs and tell them, see, look at what so-and-so's doing now. This is what you need to be doing when you get back out there. It really helped facilitate a lot of the growth. And growth is what every single one of those kids had. I mean, you should have seen some of the emails I was getting from some of these parents afterwards. Their kids had these big smiles on their faces. They felt like their child improved tenfold over the course of just a few weeks, and they had fun doing it. And, they keep talking about soccer and how they want to keep doing it. And I mean, it was just incredible. It was such a rewarding experience. And again, I have to reiterate to our listeners out there, if you ever get the opportunity to coach a rec sports program, soccer, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, give it a shot. Even if you don't end up liking it and only do it for a season, I still think it's a really rewarding thing to try out at least once in your life.
Well done, Steve. Good overview. Good season. Proud of you.
Fantastic season.
Represent
Steve,
yourself well.
I gotta tell you, like, this is the same kind of like stuff that I'm hearing out of all of my kids' coaches. And it's kind of amazing that we have at the rec level, at the school level, the volunteer coaches that care about the development of these kids and stuff. It really, really drives home, like, that there is a pathway to get to where you want to go as an athlete or as a student athlete, to through not having to do the pay to play system. I know rec is pay to play, kind of. It's to offset costs and stuff versus actually to pay people. But I'm so happy that you found it as rewarding as some of these like coaches that I'm encountering with my son through school soccer and my daughter through volleyball. I know that the volleyball JV coaches get paid, but it's not a lot. And we got some amazing feedback today on my daughter, which was great. And the one thing that she impressed upon Lily, and I'm sure that like you see it too, is that in the off season, don't just wait for something to come along. Go out there and because you're not going to come back in 10 months and just pick your sport right back up. She said, go out and play basketball, go out and play field hockey or lacrosse, go out and play softball, get out there and play other sports, experience other things, because it's going to make you a better athlete in the end and make you a more rounded person in the end, a team player. And I got to really applaud you for what you do before what you did, because you jumped out there, you got into the community and picked up something that you knew and you loved, and you didn't do it just because your kid was on the team. So yeah. I applaud you. And thanks, as much as you get those emails and stuff from the parents and stuff, that it's very nice. I think you have to take a lot of pride in what you've done to help these kids to learn and develop.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually had one of my players tell me like, oh, you don't have a kid on this team? Like, that's how I know you're really invested in this. Like,
yeah.
Nice.
It worked for them.
Didn't you also have a player tell you that you were a nerd too?
Yeah, I did. Same player, actually. Same player.
Nice.
He is a nerd, though, so
it's true.
Steve's like, thank you. That's what I'm going for.
I did feel.
He's like, T&D club is next week. You can.
I did feel pretty vindicated at the end of the season, finishing unbeaten, because it did kind of validate my theory that you can have a competitive team without killing the fun. Because I when I was playing just co-ed, years ago, right out of college and in college, I would always see, coaches at the field house in Shelburne. And they were the types of coaches who would, yell at the kids, make them do these drills, the sprints, the suicides, all the horrible shit that we had to do when we were on team sports, but it always rubbed me the wrong way, because it just felt like such a negative approach to getting the most out of these players. And
can I tell you that I know that football club, and I know that club, and it's they're a terrible club, and I will come on this podcast and say, do never ever send your kid to Synergy.
Yeah.
They're not good human beings.
You can get a competitive team with good vibes And speaking of a competitive team with good vibes,
God damn.
Ooh, I like what you did there,
Don't
Steve.
worry about a
I like that.
thing.
That's why Steve's wearing his tie-dye hoodie tonight. Am I right?
oh yeah,
Very nice. Very nice. Steve, why don't you just work us into it? Let's see where this goes. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Spurs, Dave. That's what
Mhm.
we're all here for, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, what a game. What a game we had. I was super confident last week that it was going to be, no problem, easy peasy. It's Luton Town, they're awful. We shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. When we could have been up 3-0 within 15 minutes and somehow did not score, there was a sense of dread creeping in, like, oh no, like, is this going to be peak Spurs? Like, get the result against Liverpool and then just completely botch it against Luton Town.
It's like Alan Quartermain, it's like, wait a minute, I've seen this before, but it was called something. It was called Indiana Jones,
Oh, it felt awful. But that's what it was, right? Like we had there was that one opportunity, I think it was Richarlison, who, like, if he had gotten any height on that shot whatsoever, anything to put it over the keeper's leg, it was a cleanest goal he could have possibly scored. And yet he picked the wrong option. The keeper made the save. And it was, it felt like it was just going to be one of those, especially going into halftime 0-0. And going down a man too. Thanks, Basuma, for that completely boneheaded decision. It just felt like, all of the good luck that we've been riding was about to come crashing down. And then the good vibes train hit. The good vibes. Madison to Mickey for the goal. Oh, man, what a relief. And yeah, it was one of those where I would have liked more of a cushion.
Yeah, 3-0 would have been nice, right?
Yeah, 3-0 after 15 minutes would have been perfect, but
sure, yeah.
2-0 after 15 minutes would have ended up in 6-0 after 90.
Mike, before you or not Mike, Steve, before you go further, I just want to say what felt different to me, because I agree, like you get those, like, the traumas back, it's like triggering of old events. But the difference was, in the past, those types of matches, we wouldn't have opportunities. We would just suck for the entire first half. And we'd go like, what is wrong with these guys? They're playing like they've never done this before. But I had this kind of sense of calm that I felt because I saw the opportunities. We were knocking. We just weren't getting the door open, right? Like that was all there. And even with the Basuma shenanigans, which I know we'll get into, like it didn't feel desperate like it has in the past when we've gone into a 0-0 against a bad team. But that was just my take.
The thing is too, is like I've heard other podcasts say it's like, oh, it's just why are we getting these results now with the same group of guys? It's not the same fucking group of guys.
No,
there are some of the same guys there, but they're different players. They're allowed to be different players. They're allowed to be the player that they actually are versus the player that one football terrorist says that they have to be. And I think that's where the vibes come in. It's like a prisoner who's been wrongfully accused of something, who's been in prison for 10 years, and finally he and some other folks prove their innocence, and they're let out of jail, and they're out in the open, and they're like, oh my God, this is sunlight, and there's things I can do, and there's things that I'm allowed to do now. I'm not constrained to this like jailhouse mentality. And these players, they get out there and they see that there's a whole world open to them by this one chubby, beautiful, bearded Australian man who's telling them, go out there, be brave, do the things you can do, be the person you can be.
And when it doesn't work, keep doing it. Keep doing it, right?
Keep doing it. When if it doesn't work, keep doing it. I saw some frustration on his face when Richie missed those shots. But I'll let Steve finish. But I
look, I mean, all I really have left to add is, like, the other big difference for me between the Spurs of old and Spurs of Ange is when that goal went in, I didn't feel nervous anymore. I felt like, okay, we've got it. Like, we've taken control. We're going to be in the driver's seat. Like, there's only one way this game is ending now. I didn't feel like we were going to, sit back, park the bus, and play this invitation of pressure to hopefully see the game out, which we all know that has ended poorly for us very recently in the past. So, but it was nice to like get that goal and go, okay, well, we're good now. I mean, shit, like between Mickey and Romero, those two at center back are just incredible. Romero in particular was just an absolute monster in that game. I mean, that dude, yes, Mickey got the goal, but Romero was like, who is this player? He's not the yellow card machine that we were seeing last season. He's mature.
Basuma is.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna. I will actually tell you why he's not the yellow card machine.
Please, Mike.
Because Basuma is there doing his job. His job is the last line of defense in the midfield, so that players like Romero and players like Mickey Van de Ven can
close ground and make stops, right?
They can make the soup, they
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so they can sit there and do what they need to do. Like I said last week, I mean, sometimes I feel like Romero gets a little too far forward and it makes me fucking scared, but and it made me really scared last year when he was trying to fucking do that shit, because every time he kind of like drives forward, it makes me nervous because Eric Dyer's back there. But now he drives forward and he gets brave like his gaffer tells him, and you get fucking Mickey Van de Ven galloping, dude. So
he's got
when I first saw that dude, like I saw him, I saw they did the YouTube research that we all do.
Listeners, Mike loves Mickey Van de Ven. I'm just going to say it in case you can't figure it out here.
I would, yeah, dude.
I'm mad for Mickey.
You got a total man crush on Mickey Van.
Oh man, he's handsome. And I showed a picture of him to my daughter, like, because she never really focuses in on the face when she's watching the games with me, because she actually sits and watches the games with me. My son watches half the match and then he has to get outside and do the thing, that they do. But I showed her the picture and she goes, he's okay. He's not my type.
He's not my type.
Mickey Van de Ven is everybody's type.
He is handsome as hell, dude.
She thinks her dad's the most handsome guy in the world. Just run with that, man. Right?
Yeah.
Go with that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Sure. She called. Yeah, she texted me tonight and she called me bro.
Nice.
She's a great kid. I just like Mickey Van de Ven when I first saw him at Spurs. I mean, who would have thought that like we would all have like giant crush. Every Spurs fan has a giant crush on Mickey Van de Ven. And it's not just because he's handsome. It's because of what he's done to that left center back position for us, right? I mean, he's shorted up. We don't have to rely on somebody like Eric Dyer or
out of position Sanchez.
You're making me shudder every time you say Eric Dyer. Like it kind of brings back bad memories, bad feelings.
Dude, Eric Dyer would make a great fucking MMA fighter. He just looks like one.
Always got a mistake in him.
But like Mickey Van de Ven, like his recovery pace, and it's like weird to watch, right? Because he got these big long legs, and he kind of gallops. He's like a fucking giraffe with like the speed of a fucking lion. It's really crazy to watch. It's really crazy to watch.
Mythical.
And like when he catches up with somebody, when he catches up with an attacker, I'm telling you, there's not an attacker in the Premier League who would outrun him. And he makes smart tackles too. And that's the other thing, is he makes smart challenges in the box when he needs to. And Christian Romero, like, warts and all, like he has his issues. He's got a real fucking, he's a head case, right? I think he's a real lunatic.
He's also a good looking fella though. And we got a good looking set of center backs.
So I was just going to say, like,
that's true.
when he gets that little, when he knows he's put one over on somebody, he gets that little smirk on his
Yeah.
face.
That's your
Fucking little smirk. I'm like, he's a cute guy. He's kind of handsome. He's
That's
kinda
funny.
handsome. I got a double center back crush.
Nice.
You know,
there you go.
we're giving a lot of love to the center backs, but I gotta give another shout. He might not be the most handsome on the team, but Vicario has slotted right in, and he has been an absolute gem. I mean, when
Speaking of possible serial killers,
there, but no, I mean, just think about it, right? We spent what, like 10 million for Vicario. Think about like what some of these other big clubs have spent on goalkeepers in the past season or two. Your Chelsea's, your United,
or what we almost spent on Onana and David Raya and
yeah.
Holy shit! Like we have a legitimate gem.
Crazy Eyes Vicario. He's the man. He absolutely is.
He's got some crazy fucking reflex saves. But it's like that's not all in his arsenal. Like that's not his entire toolkit.
Don't say that word.
I know. I had to change it.
Yeah.
What I love
Arsenal and toolkit go together, right? Because they're all fucking tools.
Tools, exactly.
That's what we should refer to them as from here on out. We should refer to them as toolkit.
Yeah. Since apparently scum is out of fashion.
Too derogatory.
Right? Thanks toolkit. A lot, Green Mountain Boys.
No, but like, you know, the dude, he's just, I don't know if he's a calming presence necessarily, but he's a supportive presence. I'll say that. You know, he seems to be always cheering on his center backs and frankly his fullbacks as well, urging them forward, rallying them. You know, he's like the hype man standing behind the scenes, getting everybody amped for what's coming on. And he's always on his toes. He's always ready to make that. You know, I can't think of a moment where he's hesitated or waited too long to do something and that screwed us over. He reacts to things. It doesn't always work, but he's not cowering back there, you know, unsure of himself. He's positive that when he makes a decision, he's doing it. And that's the end of story. And so far it's worked out phenomenally for us. Just think about where we were last season with Hugo, with Dyer, with you know, Romero to some degree, Sanchez. It's night and day, man. It's night and fucking day.
It really is. You know, we can talk. No, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this for after our mid pod topic, which I think we're at. Actually, could we go there, Mike? Is it okay if I go there? Could I ask the questions on my mind?
If you have a question on your mind, yeah, sure.
Before you ask that question,
yeah, what do you guys?
We need to talk about this. Before we kicked off, I think maybe even a little bit before you hopped on, Dave, Mike and I were entertaining this idea that it's time to roast the pigeon. I think
go on.
I think Richie's had his chances. He's had his opportunities. And it's starting to look like maybe he's just not offering enough to be worth putting out there. And I know. Well, Brennan Johnson's injured. Who else are you going to stick out on the left? You know, I don't know that I have a good answer for that. But what I can tell you is that Richarlison's just not. He's not there right now. You know, he needs to be benched, honestly. And you know, I'm a huge supporter. I love him as a person. I do think he has the skill and the capability to excel, but until he gets in the right state of mind, I think it's best for him to come in as an impact sub and affect the game rather than as a nailed-on starter.
I don't even know if it's like if it's the mental stuff anymore. You know, in true to form, I'm gonna go back to my Major League Baseball references. Pitchers and catchers get what's called the yips, right? They call it the yips. Like they get into these funks where they can't get out of, and like in the case of a catcher, like catcher in baseball gets the yips. He can't throw like a third baseman can't throw the ball to second base, can't throw anybody out. Like the Red Sox catcher years ago, Scott Hatteberg, who was magically reborn under Billy Beane as a first baseman in Oakland, got what is called the yips, and he couldn't even throw the ball back to the pitcher. Had a hard time doing that kind of stuff. Couldn't throw the ball down to second base on a routine on a routine play. And I think Richie's got maybe a case of the yips. He's not going to be a hold up player. He's not going to be the big guy in the box. He's Brazilian, but he's not dribbly. He's not necessarily flashy. The Richie that we saw in the World Cup is not the Richie that we're ever going to get, or Everton even had. Like the guy's not going to volley the ball up to himself and fucking bicycle kick it every fucking time. We need a guy who could just put away the simple finishes. And in the case of this weekend, like he could have had us, like Pedro Porro, I get he takes a lot of weird chances. But he knows like that guy is like always like smiling because he's like, oh, I almost got you. He's very confident with his finishing, whether or not they always come off. But Richie gets in there and he misjudges that first ball, like the bounce on that first ball. He completely misjudged it. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. And maybe it took a funky bounce. That happens. But in the second one, dude, my fat ass could have put that in the goal. Like, dude, you can't just toe tap something and expect the ball to go in. Like, you need to bury that fucking thing. That second ball, he should have fucking buried. He just didn't do it. And I think just Richie, it's not even that he's in his own head. It's that he just can't finish. He's not a great finisher. And I don't know where the position is that he's going to fit into this club is. Honestly, like he doesn't finish. He's not necessarily a great distributor of the ball. He's not dribbly. He's not great in possession. He's just not, for me, he's not a very strong player. He's not the guy that I thought he could be when I saw him in the World Cup.
So you like dribbly players, Mike? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I don't. I don't necessarily like dribbling players.
You were setting them up, dude.
Just seeking clarity.
So no. You're bringing it back to Manor Solomon, but like
no, and that's all. I just wanted to joke with you, but I do want to comment.
I like guys. I like guys who are confident when they're dribbling the ball because James Madison is confident.
Yeah,
he's dribbly. He dribbles with his head up, and he's always got his head in the swivel. Christian Eriksen wasn't necessarily dribbly, but he could get out of pressure when he needed to.
Hey, Decky's dribbly, but he's beautiful when he's dribbling, right?
Yeah, like another fucking ugly dude. Another fucking ugly dude. Another ugly dude.
I think I just want to comment on the Richarlison thing. I think it's really interesting, right?
Maybe it's a hot take, but I don't know. Like I don't know what people are thinking right now.
I have multiple views on it. My like Dave in his gut view is Richarlison doesn't fit this team. He was the theoretical Kane replacement. But there's something off, and we've talked about this for a while. When something's off with a player, there's something going on. It appears based on his own comments that what's going on is, mental health related, social emotional stuff. Like we can all get behind that and be supportive of that. The question is, like, how long does a team give him? We've said this on the pod before. How long do you give him? And said he's got nothing but time for him. But the interesting piece is like performance really is what gets you on the pitch. I'm of the suspicion that once Brennan Johnson comes back, Richarlison sees less and less time. He probably becomes just the impact sub, with a fresh set of legs late in the game, where I do think he could perform. And candidly, like I wouldn't be shocked if a year from now he's not on the squad anymore. If he has been relocated maybe by next summer, just because things have evolved and he's clearly less of a fit, and we've got a replacement to kind of fill that type of role. That's my gut.
He'll be back in Brazil winning fucking trophies with Lucas Moura.
Hey, go nuts, right? Go back to your childhood club. It looks like Messi's talking about doing that when his contract's
over. No. Right? We make no mistake. Messi's done to fucking Miami. He's done. He'll never play another game.
What did he play? Like 8 games, something like that?
Yeah, like as soon as they lost the cup.
Yeah,
it seems like. Yeah, I have no chance of making the playoffs.
These guys,
no chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah,
enjoy your ticket prices, Miami.
Doesn't even know what
and your pink jerseys.
Lovely stuff. Lovely
No,
stuff.
the interesting thing for me, because I think you're absolutely spot on. When Brennan Johnson comes back, Richarlison probably does see less and less. But the interesting thing for me is in the time between now and when he is back, Brennan Johnson is back and ready to hop in, which honestly might just be after international break. I don't know.
Let's hope.
Yep.
Has Valise done enough to even overtake Richarlison in the pecking order as somebody to be selected?
Let's talk about that guy in a minute, because
not game worthy, but I mean, who knows what he's doing in training, right? Like that's a really
that's the thing.
Question.
We don't get to see that, and due to necessity, Richarlison's just out there starting. But when he's not starting, who comes in? Is it going to be Richarlison or is it going to be Valise?
Yeah,
Valise is Richarlison, who eats a lot of fucking steak.
Big dude, strong Argentinian. That boy. That's the difference between Argentinian and Brazilian, right? Is that what it comes down
to? Yeah. Brazilian barbecue versus Argentinian barbecue. Like,
Steve, do you concur? Do you have an opinion on that? You're part Brazilian.
Valise is fucking dude. Valise is a fucking.
He's a tank.
Have you been to a nice Brazilian radicchio? I mean, that shit is prime.
Yeah, you get the meat sweats at those places, man.
That dude jumps out of the fucking building though, Valise. He can jump out of the fucking building. He's got hops like fucking prime, like 1999 Kobe.
Okay.
Did you see him fucking jump, dude?
Okay, Dave. I think
this is a good
time to ask
this question. Segue time. Mike, I got to ask you a question because you're digging a hole, and I want to give you a chance to work your way out of it.
To hop his way out.
Prime 1999 Kobe. Okay. Mike, question. Are you ready for it?
I'm always ready, Dave.
Hey, Mike, what you drinking?
I was thinking the other day, Dave.
I love it when you ask me that.
I love asking it.
I'm shifting gears here. I was thinking like this might be played out a little bit.
What might be played out a little bit?
The Hey Mike thing. The Hey Mike thing might be played out a little bit.
What are you gonna let like Steve start reviewing beers? Is it that played out or
no?
Like, you're not giving them.
Are people sick of it? It's my thing. I love it. This is like
who cares?
Yeah.
Well, what do we get on? What do we get on Facebook and on the gram? Are people like, hey, knock it off with that midway segment, or?
So here's the thing. So I was thinking about this, and this is and we were just talking on earlier before we started recording. I say, here's the thing all the time.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing, though, guys. Yeah, but here's the thing. I got to work the other day, and on Monday, and I wasn't having the most beautiful morning. I had been like at work early, like late the night before, and
Mike was pissed he had to work on a day that was a holiday for others. I think is what it really came down to.
What holiday is that, Dave?
It's only a holiday.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
It's only a holiday. It's only a holiday in Massachusetts where they still call it Columbus Day.
Yeah,
for that murdering fucking scumbag. Anyway,
but he discovered America.
He discovered Cuba.
Sailed the ocean blue.
Anywho, so I got into a vascular case. I came those things last a long time. I came back upstairs to my office, and there was this. I go to grab my snack out of the refrigerator, and in the refrigerator, there's like.
What was your snack? What'd you have in the fridge for a snack?
Oh,
like a little mini charcuterie board, or what do you do when you get?
Okay, kind of. I got a block of Cabot. A block of Cabot cheddar cheese.
Okay.
Extra sharp, Vermont extra sharp, by the way. And then I've got some hummus. I've got some everything bagel hummus.
Yeah.
Right.
So far so good. Yeah.
All right. And some little mini carrots.
That's a little mini charcuterie board if I ever heard of
I guess I'm a big dude. I understand I'm a big dude.
That's a go get a pound of salami or something. Stick that in there too.
That's a little dude snack, but I'm trying to slim down, guys.
All right, very good. Well, hey, that's good snack though.
But anyway, and slim, let's start with S.
So I open the refrigerator and at work, and there's a shitload of fucking beer in the fridge, and I'm like, "What is this?"
Nice.
And then I look, and I'm like,
Mike thought about stealing one, even though he didn't know who it belonged to. He's like, I'm about to pocket this thing.
No, there's a little piece of paper on top of it. I'm like, oh, look at this. What is this? And I look, I'm like, oh my God, it's Treehouse. And I pulled the little piece of paper out, and it says on the piece of paper, it says, "Hey, Mike, what you drinking?"
See, like,
So to answer your question,
the people love it. The people love it.
There's
So I'm like,
demand.
who the fuck brought this to me?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Nobody in the office seemed to know.
No
Like
way.
it was brought in by a fucking elf. Right? So I got Juice Machine, which is like one of my favorites from Treehouse.
Nice.
I got Emperor Julius from the Julius series, which I'll be drinking later and I won't talk to you about.
He's keeping it secret.
But because this is October, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm gonna do this beer. I'm gonna do this beer for my mother-in-law, who's a two-time breast cancer survivor. This is also part of the Julius series. I think I might have reviewed Emperor Julius or King Julius on the pod maybe a year or two ago.
Julius.
So this is Queen Julius, and it's got the breast cancer awareness ribbon on it, right? It's pink. I don't know what goes into this, but the Julius series is Julius is like their flagship IPA at Treehouse, and I have my Treehouse cup.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah. So this says Queen Julius is an American double IPA brewed with a novel blend of hops, resulting in an immensely juicy beverage. The addition of classic American hops brings about whispers of sweet floral character that melds perfectly with the celebrated base beer. So the celebrated base beer is Julius. It's a single IPA. It's juicy. It's big. It's hoppy. It's more citrus than anything. But this, it doesn't give me anything other than it says portion of the proceeds from each batch of the Queen will be donated to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So I'm doing this in honor of October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and for my mother-in-law, Debbie, who's a wonderful grandmother to my children, and a wonderful mother-in-law, and she's helped take care of us. So this is brewed in their Charlton, Massachusetts brewery. So we're gonna pop into this.
God, I hope it doesn't suck.
Me too, because that's a big fucking buildup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the other day
they let you down.
The other day I was it was my turn to bring Lucas to training, and it was so fucking cold and windy. Oh, look at that.
Ooh,
that's a pour right there.
That's pretty well done. Well done. That's a 2.5 finger. Man, that's almost a Guinness head is what I'm about to call that.
I better take a picture of this because Adam will get on my shit about it. I didn't take a picture of that's a 2-finger right there.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
It's 2 fat fingers. Dude, it's
the
thick.
American fingers.
Look at that. It is thick. It's almost brown.
On the wang scale, there's no way you'd see your wang if you stuck it in there, man. Am I right?
I think we did. We established that already. Like, my wang's not being seen anyway.
Mike, while you're sipping and assessing, I got to tell you a quick story. You were sharing with me, maybe it was when we were on the Wicked Spursy baseball weekend. We were talking about like x-rays, radiology, and some of the studies that have come out that have affected your work where they're not having patients wear the lead coverings anymore. You remember that conversation?
Yeah,
you were illuminating a layman like myself. So a couple weeks ago, after we'd had that conversation, I went to the dentist. No offense to the dental professionals out there, but not one of my favorite places to be. Got some traumatic childhood orthodontia experiences that just stuck with me. And
me too.
And I've got this hygienist who's working on me, and she's like young, fresh out of school, and she clearly is, we all know the type. She clearly is like I'm going to be a patient educator. I'm going to teach this patient something about, his situation. And I'm like, listen,
they all do.
It's like, look, sweetie, I've been here a few times. I've been around the block, not my first.
You didn't say sweetie, did you?
I did not, but not my first time in a dentist chair, but I'm kind of putting
relax here, Donald Trump.
but Mike, you would have been so proud of me, man, when she was going to do the x-rays, and that whole process, right? And I was like, like, hey, interesting story. I got a buddy, he works up at UVM, blah, blah, blah. Right. I'm doing the whole thing. And I'm like, we were talking about this study and blah, blah. And she was like, wow, I wasn't aware of any of that. I'm going to have to look into that. I was totally knowledge dropping on the young college graduate who was all excited about teaching me. And I showed her a little something thanks to my boy, Mike. So I just want to give you props on that.
Yeah. You should have said like the Beastie Boys, I'm kicking the cool knowledge.
Ooh, well done. Well done.
That's from the Drop in Science song. This beer is fucking good, dude.
Oh, good.
Ooh, all right, Steve. You know what that means? Where that puts us.
Look at the lacing.
Two.
Look at the lacing on that.
It's nice.
Isn't that fucking nice, dude?
Lovely.
You know what? Before we started doing this, I didn't know much about lacing. I didn't know much about the pornographic nature of beers. This beer is porn worthy.
Porn worthy.
Okay.
Do I ask you to explain that a little further, or are you just gonna leave it at that?
You need explanation.
Oh no. Like if a beer would make a dude whack off, this is it.
I don't know. Does this scale go up to 6.9?
Wow.
Yeah, like what is it? It's only 8.1% alcohol. So I love this beer. It's got that thickness of an unfiltered double IPA.
Mike, I want to see both your hands while you're doing this review, please.
Thank you. Right hands.
Keep them.
Do you ever have that going on team trips to different schools? You always get somebody doing a hand check to make sure nothing funky was going on in the back of the bus.
No, that was like
just me.
The back of the bus deal
just me, just New Jersey, Steve. That's all that was.
The back of the bus deal was part of a mandatory thing with male high school sports in the 90s. You had to be a disgusting fucking pig. That said, if this beer was a porn, it would be the best porn.
Yeah. Wow.
Ange porn.
So Dan, Dave thinks I'm going to go porno for pyros on this. It is not true.
Great shout, by the way. Yeah.
We'll make great pets.
Yep. Wow. Haven't thought about that band or that song in quite some time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Jane's Addiction is offshoot band.
Yeah. Sticking to Mike's theme here.
Anywho, shoot off.
Yeah.
Shoot. So I'm
giving this 5 knuckles. Is that what you're giving this for?
I'm going to give this beer a 4.3.
Damn it,
dude! All that foreplay, and you bring a 4.3. Like, wow!
Dude, that's like one of the highest. That is like one of the highest. What is going on here?
I don't know.
That's one of the highest ratings I've given a beer. I don't know what fucking planet you've been living on.
You've never talked about a beer in sexual terms before. Steve and I were like feeling. I was 4.5. He was 4.6. Like that's the vibe you were giving off there, buddy.
Well, no, Steve was 6.9.
This is true.
Yes, that is also accurate.
All right, 4.3.
Look, I'm trying to bring an edge to the podcast. We need more listeners. We need the porn. We need the porn listeners.
What
is what we need here?
That's who we're trying to recruit now.
I'm you know what? We had Ricky on. I'm coming after the Fighting Cock fucking fan base.
Mike
coming after you guys.
Mike just said "come in" and "cock" in the same phrase there. I just want to point that out. He planned all this, folks. This is not accidental.
You're the one who started talking about putting wangs in beer and shit.
I gotta ask for our own sanity. To get over a 4.5, does it like have to bring you to orgasm, or is that just imply? Oh God! Oh,
all right. Yes. Well, at least we know where the threshold is.
You see the O face, and all of a sudden it's okay. 4.5 plus.
I'm going to disappoint you with my song because I've been thinking about this.
How long you been thinking about it?
Since you guys started judging me on my pornographic references for the
dude, we're
judging my scale.
We're supposed to judge you.
Look, you're lowballing us with your score.
The second that I took a sip, I have to start thinking about the song, don't I?
It's true. We do put a lot on you Mike, and
No,
we
this is a fun.
apologize.
No. So okay, all jokes aside, this is a fun beer. It's tasty. It is spicy. It's got the big juicy character of the Julius series. It does have those floral notes. As far as the smell, it doesn't really it doesn't separate itself from the rest of the Julius series. The smell, the nose, or whatever they fucking call it in the weird beer advocate world.
Odor.
Odor. There's no odor.
It's the least
So,
sexy way to describe.
No, but
smell.
it's a super fun beer. It's a sipping beer. It's chill. I love this beer. So,
But it's only a 4.3.
but it's
It didn't
so
make 'em
I give it a
finish.
4.3 is fucking high, dude. I gave that beer last week that I really absolutely loved, like what, a 3.6 or 3.5, a Belgian triple. 4.3 is fucking high. I don't think I've given another beer anything higher than that. Maybe say for one.
I feel like we've had something higher, but I don't remember what it was. So,
All right.
we're gonna have
Probably
to go.
Mike at some point.
Perhaps. Mike, why don't you five knuckle shuffle along with this thing, man? What song you got for us? 7-Eleven, baby.
Spider-Man. Shooting webs. I'm gonna go Rebirth of Slick, Diggable Planets.
Ooh, why? Great song, great group. Why?
Because it's a sipping beer, man. It's a sipping beer. You're not gonna pound
A
fucking
stroking
10 of
beer?
these like it's a stroking beer. And it's chill like that. It's cool like that. It's cool like that.
Man.
Moves you right up.
Steve, you remember the last time we did Hey Mike, what you drinking? Yeah, so do I. I was there.
And he had the gall to ask if we need to keep it going.
Yeah, he did. That's how he led this thing off, right?
No. So this is what I'm saying.
Where he was going.
The whole point of that whole fucking story was that I thought, like, man, is this getting fucking old? And then this
No.
shit shows up in my refrigerator, a little note on it. I still don't know who fucking brought it to me. It says, "Hey Mike, what you drinking?"
You might not know, but you'll figure it out when after this episode launches, you get that one person making eye contact with you in the hall at the hospital, just slow jerking.
Mike, it's fair to say when you found that beer in the fridge, you stood at attention. It's good to put it that way, and your spirits were erect, right?
At the time, actually, I was like just about half.
Mike, do you wear scrubs at work?
This took a turn.
So yeah, I do.
That's terrible.
And,
please tell me you at least had your lead on so you could hide that, instead of being like being the fourth grader who goes to the chalkboard with the heft of
You going camping today, Mike?
The heft of the lead wouldn't have hidden anything.
Oh, good Lord.
So,
Julius. Hey, folks, this was our last episode of Wicked Spursy. It's been great.
We've been canceled.
Season 4 has concluded.
Netflix has canceled us.
Well done, Mikey. Well done. And I got to finish that bad boy. And again, we want to see both hands throughout the process. So
yes, please.
Let's do it. Hey, Steve, while Mike's finishing that beer, question for you. What kind of?
I won't.
You gonna finish it off?
Oh boy!
Just don't make eye contact while you do.
When I finish,
Steve, what kind of imprint has a certain Fabio Paratici left on the club?
Babs Paratici.
That's what I want to talk about.
I mean, look, I can sum it up as excellent recruitment, garbage manager selection. Yeah, his shortlist for managers was just god awful. But some of the players that have come in under his tenure are finally starting to shine.
That's so okay. Okay, go ahead. He said the word.
shine
Nope.
starting
Nope.
finally tenure.
Players.
This is where I was going with our WhatsApp
Oh.
conversation earlier. So go ahead, Steve.
No, it's
your turn, Steve. You go ahead now. Take your turn.
it's interesting to me because on the one hand, right, like you would expect if he's recruiting players, good, thank God. If he's recruiting players, Mike just showed us his hands for our audio only listeners. We just needed to make sure. For somebody who is recruiting players for these defensive managers, you have to think he did a really shit job.
Yeah, it's almost like he recruited all the wrong players for the manager he had, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But was he playing chess?
Exactly.
No.
He's either a stupid, like one of those just absolute morons who through dumb sheer fucking luck manages to find some good signings, because it's not like he was signing players for managers on his short list, because his short list was even worse than the options that we went with. He just wasn't putting apples with apples. He was, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. But I'll tell you what, if he wants to stay on as a consultant, fine. But I feel much better about our operational structure than I ever did in the last couple of seasons. I mean, this data-driven approach with Ange having the final sign-off. You look at this new guy who's just come on, whose name's escaping me.
Johan
Longa. Yeah.
Oh, I keep wanting to call him Lange. So we have Ange and Lange.
Ange and Lange.
You know, I don't think you're the first person to say that. I've heard that. I just heard that
Ange
today earlier.
It's not right, but no. If you look at some of the comments that he's made during his time at Copenhagen in particular, I mean, the way that he thinks about looking for players is it's what we need, right? Look at what he's done at Aston Villa over the last couple of seasons. I mean, they can be a legitimately dangerous side to face these days.
I think a lot of that's on Unai Emery, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of it on there, but I mean, he still needs the players to come in. And if you look at the signings that he's made, they're all pretty solid picks. I'm excited for him to be on board. I'm excited for him to work with Munn and with Ange. But I do think that this data-driven approach is only going to suit us in the long term.
It's funny that that soccer has all of a sudden embraced this data-driven approach when data analytics really blossomed and were found out by the Americans through Moneyball, through that Moneyball approach and how Billy Beane embraced that and started. If Billy Beane had been a soccer general manager or director of football, had been a soccer mind, and came up with this and embrace the data analytics, he would have been the biggest genius in the history of sport, except he's with the Oakland Athletics, who refused to put money into teams, and he embraced it because he had to find a way to build a team, and he did. And if he had been at Spurs, he would have won fucking 6, 7, 8 FA Cups and a couple of fucking, Carling or Carabao Cups. I just find it funny that Europe and especially the English pick on American sports and now they're finally, after 20 fucking something years, are embracing the Moneyball approach.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not saying Americans are saviors of sports. I'm not saying that at all. How many Premier League clubs are owned by Americans? Let's be candid, right? Ownership is changing.
Here's my point: is that we Americans have fucked up European sports.
There you go.
more than they've helped them. But in this situation, finding cheap players, young cheap players who can help your team because of one or two things that they do really fucking well. Look at Kevin Euclid, right?
There is one beautiful exception to what we're talking about. You know what that is?
What?
Chelsea.
That's not a data-driven approach. That's the New York Yankees fucking approach.
Precisely. That's why I'm saying that there is one beautiful exception.
Yeah. So that's the buy every fucking high-priced player ever. Sure, they might get you a fucking trophy or two,
but they're going to burn you in the process.
And 30 years later, they're going to make you look like a fucking asshole.
When you're still paying them because your contract is obscene.
No, you talk about Gary Sheffield and Jimmy Key and David Cohn, like players like that. Like the Yankees just like went out and they bought championships. You know, Scott Brocious and fucking Paul O'Neill. They bought championships, where the Red Sox did it through data analytics, right? And they brought in guys like Kevin Euclid and throwaways like Jeremy Giambi and throwaways like, and believe it or not, David Ortiz was a throwaway. We have players on our team right now that people considered okay, they're good, but they're throwaways, right? We have Dejan Kulisevsky, Danny Boy Kulisevsky, and we have Roddy Betancourt, Silky Puddin. Like,
oh, he's coming back too.
Those are guys who are throwaways, right? And he's coming back. Hopefully, he's a player he was.
I hope so.
Can I weigh in on this Prodigy thing?
You can, because I teed it up for you. I knew you had an opinion.
I know you did. Like, so my opinion is like what Steve was saying is that sure, it looks like he's a fucking genius now because he brought these players in. He brought in Pedro Porro. He brought in all of these Decky, Bentancur. He brought in all these players that are making good now, but looked like fucking shit a year ago. Now he bought these players for a specific manager. Most of these players for a specific manager, right? So he bought these players for Antonio Conte and Antonio Conte's system. They didn't work out Antonio Conte's system. Like, he was working with Conte to bring in these players for Antonio Conte's system. And then Antonio Conte, when he realized that these weren't the players that he wanted, fucking completely blackballed them or said, these are club signings. These are not my signings. So he brought most of these players in for this fucking football. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. Football terrorist, Antonio Conte, who is like, my way or the highway. I will kill him. I would rather kill him than put him on the pitch. Ferradici last year, if we were talking about him last year, he's a failure. He's an absolute fucking failure. And it's a happy, and I told you this earlier, Dave, it's a happy accident that we have Ange now, and Ange knows how to develop players. We talked about Pedro Porro. We've been talking about Pedro Porro, and I've said 100 fucking times that he's young and he's able to be molded into a type of a player. Like, you can't tell me Destiny Udogie was brought in to be a fucking right back or a left back. I'm sorry. He wasn't brought in to be a left back. He was brought in to be a left wing back, right? He's been turned into a serviceable left back, but and a fucking phenomenal.
I was gonna say probably one of the best left backs in the league right now, but
and a phenomenal inverted left back, right?
Sure. Yep.
Right. So to give Paratici all kinds of fucking credit for being some fucking giant genius is a fucking joke to me.
Here's where I want to counter you. All right. You ready?
It's a joke to me. He didn't do this on purpose, knowing that.
I don't disagree with both of your assessment of, wow, these players were the wrong players for the manager we had, and they happen to be the right players for the manager we have now.
He thought he was bringing these players in for that manager.
But here's my take on this whole thing. I saved this for you, Mike. I didn't say this earlier today because you shut me down. I'm not bitter at all. Both hands. Thank you. We don't get Ange without Prodigy having done what he did the last 2 years. Like Prodigy came in and ran all things football, and he started it all began. This is my simplistic take. When we got rid of Steve Hitchen, the guy who was doing all the recruitment and the signing of folks, with Levy like breathing down his neck. That's my lay person's view from the outside.
Kissing his neck.
There you go. Kissing his neck gently, ever so gently. The nape of his neck specifically. But like clearing that out, Prodigy started to build a football structure that we are seeing manifest itself. And I don't think we get Ange without that structure in place. If we're back in that era where you had Hitchens and Levy calling all the freaky shots and making all these bad decisions, there's no way you get a top caliber manager. Levy was excited about going for the Mourinhos of the world, going for the Contes of the world, going for the win now managers. We know he drove that.
He should have been.
We know he drove that whole process. But Prodigy built the structure. And I can't say that I understand fully why, but the fact they're keeping him around as a consultant, obviously that's got Ange's blessing, because if Ange wasn't on board with that, he'd be like, what the hell, guys, what's going on? Like, he's got that much capital already that Ange could squash that if he thought it was a bad idea. With all Prodigy's legal stuff, with all that stuff, the fact that he's still around as a consultant tells me that that guy has played an instrumental role in setting the context and building the foundation for what this club is starting to do with all these hires we talked about, whatever the guy's name is, Longa, these guys that are coming in to fill these key roles in scouting and recruitment and all these different areas. Like I feel good about what that guy did the last couple of years. I can't tell you everything he did, but I feel like I'm seeing the results of what he did. That's my take on the whole thing.
I just think I think it's a happy accident. I think I've heard this a couple of times on a couple of different podcasts that like Prodigy, actually, if you go to Italy, and you speak his name, he's kind of laughed about. He's kind of a joke.
That's great, but he's set us up to be a good team.
He has, but I still think it's a happy accident that it happened.
You know, I'd love happy accidents as opposed to bad accidents. Or sad accidents.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely agree with that. And happy days are here again, as the post-prohibition song goes.
These days are Steve, closing thoughts.
No, I'm not talking about happy days. The Fonz is
the Fonz. Hey, there's a good segue there.
He's a Tottenham supporter now.
There you go. Steve, what do you got for closing thoughts, man? We're getting to the witching hour. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's going to be a long international break.
Not too long, because we got something special coming.
Super special.
We maybe have a little something special, but
listen to us riff off each other like the fucking Beastie Boys. It's great.
What you want?
I gotta say, I'm a little annoyed that Klinsmann thinks that Sonny can just play for,
because he's not playing in Europe, right?
Yeah, it's like, seriously, dude, like the dude's been carrying a groin injury and you're just gonna, okay, well, I guess that's gonna happen. I'm fully expecting at least one of our key players to come back injured, by the way.
Yes, always happens.
It's gonna be Lo Celso.
Because we can't, because we can't have anything nice. I said key players.
No, don't pray on that. We need him.
He ain't playing for us ever again.
Yes, he is.
But man, I miss Angeball already. I do. And any of these stupid ass international competitions that are going to be happening between now and when we return on the 20-something, it's not the same. I miss my Ange. That's my closing thought. I miss Ange.
That's lovely. I like that. That's good. Mike, what do you got? Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I usually have something like big to say. So I blew
your load early, didn't you?
Yeah, you went prematurely. Hey, Mike.
I prematurely went early. I want to talk about like a forgotten member, and we've mentioned a couple of times.
Member,
not your forgotten member.
My member will not be forgotten. Hashtag never forget. That'd be great. Hashtag Wicked Spursy, never forget. So I want to talk about Dejan Kulisevsky because
How's he forgotten? Where are you going with what?
no, listen, this let me get on this track and let me ride the rails here because Dejan Kulisevsky had a arguably, well, not arguably, but admittedly rough season last year. Bad season. He was injured, often injured. He was put into positions and put into a system that he was not comfortable running. He was put into a system where when he came to the club, uh, became it changed. It became bastardized from the position he was running the previous half year. This year he's finally fully fit. He's getting into a spot where he is comfortable being the role player that he is. He doesn't have to be the superstar. He doesn't have to be the guy who's scoring all the goals or who's making all the sexy passes. Dejan Kulisevsky is happy to be the guy who fucking runs around a lot. He's happy to be the guy who is tough. He's happy to be the guy who's brave. He's happy to be the guy who takes on 2 and 3 defenders when the ball is cleared and shipped out. When you're a man down and you need just a little bit of possession to shore up a win against a club you should have put away in the first 15 minutes. Like the soccer that guy played was so this past weekend was so understated that it was probably overlooked because I've heard 3 different podcasts give credit to Pedro Porro, gave credit to Mickey Van de Ven for his clearances, and Romero for his clearances, and to the defensive players and to the substitutes that were put in, and give credit to Ange. I think 98.9% of the credit goes to not just those guys who are shipping the ball out, but to Dejan Kulisevsky, who held up play for minutes at a time when the ball was just booted into nowhere. He had 1-2 guys literally hanging off of his fucking back, and he's receiving the ball to his feet, and he's holding up play, waiting for attackers to come on, waiting for somebody to pass to. Like, he was directly, and for me, man of the match, was directly responsible for minutes wasted by Luton Town and minutes gained by Tottenham Hotspur. I think that if you watch that shot that he put in, like, there's not many guys who can find a small little tiny bit of space and put in a ball. This was not even a pass. It was like a legitimate shot. Find a little tiny bit of space, like a foot's worth of space, and put a ball in and curl a ball on the ground like he did. Like, that shot, that was a beautiful save, fingertip save. But that shot told me that Decky is fucking back, baby. That's my final shit right there. And with Decky, to answer the fighting cock, yeah, we can.
Ooh, look at Mike. He's just called it. There you go. I like it.
Name dropping too.
You called another pod out, or actually you referenced another pod. That's good.
No,
good
I referenced the pod because I feel like there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of the shit that they came up with.
Yeah,
so.
That's good. Yeah, we've seen people blatantly copy it, right? Like, we don't want to do that.
Copy it, take it, and copy it and take it.
Word. Hey, closing thought from me. We'll talk about next week. We are recording. This is Tuesday evening. We're recording, and we are recording next Tuesday, and I'm super excited about it. So here's the backstory. We were having a a spirited debate among ourselves probably a week or so ago about the role that sports science plays in keeping players on the pitch and making sure that the guys we want to see playing football on the weekend are able to play football on the weekend. And we were going back and forth, and that evolved into, we reached out to a couple like legitimate friends of the podcast. One we've talked about before. I'm proud to acknowledge my sister Gina, who is an athletic trainer with experience at the college and high school level in the U.S., and a friend of hers and a friend of my family who has history as a trainer in the NBA and currently at a place that Mike cares a lot about, the University of Notre Dame, with the men's basketball team. And so reached out to them like, hey, would you be willing to have a conversation and talk about this stuff with us? And they were both like, that'd be awesome. We're in. Let's talk. Now, guys, I do have to do some disclosure. Our boy Nixon, who works at Notre Dame, I think he's like a like occasional Chelsea fan, so we're gonna have to deal with that piece. But they're bottom half of the table, so like,
oh man, they bought him too.
Yeah, we won't go too tough on that. Actually, he told me he's a Chelsea fan because Kevin Garnett showed up one day in a Chelsea kit, and they talked about Chelsea, and so he started supporting it. So
I knew that guy was a fucking piece of shit.
There you go. There you go.
That fucking Kevin Garnett.
But that evolved into we're definitely gonna have one other guest. We've got a physician joining us who is the former sports science director of New York City Football Club. So like of the Man City organization, that's a big freaking deal, and he's going to be joining us as well. So at least three, and we might have one other person who is NFL involved and related. So it's going to be a cool conversation. It's going to be crowded. There's going to be a lot of us in the call, but we're going to talk about the actual role that sports science plays.
Long. It could be a two-parter.
Yeah, we might run long. We might split it up. Yeah, but it's going to be fun. So and the cool thing, I reached out to our friends Flav and Wendy and Ricky and said, hey, if you guys have questions that you want us to make sure we ask these types of folks, please send them our way. And I've already gotten some feedback from those guys on some things to ask about. So it's going to be a good pod. Looking forward to it. Make sure you listen next week. Like we know you do every week, but make sure you listen next week. We're excited about it.
Yeah. Mike will have to be on his best behavior, really tone down the masturbating on cam.
Yeah. We might pull back on the porn references from Mike, but we'll still let him be
his thoughts.
Yeah, finish your thoughts. We'll let him work his way to completion. That's what we'll do. Yeah. On that note,
hey, he
Steve,
always leaves me satisfied.
That's what he said and she said. Steve, what would your final thing you'd have to say as we take off?
Quiz. Yes, Don't be
sir.
an asshole.
Yes, sir. And Michael, how about you?
Guys, it's a fucking crazy world out there. I just want everybody to think about what you're doing before you do it. And be safe.
And
Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.